Apex Sunday podcast hosted by myself, Robert Ross, and John Dowsett. Today we're talking about the MotoGP Grand Prix at Barcelona. And John, what a difference a track makes between the last two and this one.
No kidding.
You know, I guess the biggest story here was in terms of differences, the Aprilias suffered, at least in qualifying and so forth. And they got some results in the sprint and the race, but definitely not the dominant force that they have been relatively recently. So, and then in qualifying, I'd say that it revealed the slippery nature of the circuit. Top Rack, who rode on this circuit last season in superbikes on Pirelli tires, came back to the pits and said, "Is there something wrong with the bike? There's just no grip whatsoever on this circuit." And we saw that with He slowed down on a slowed down lap to start a hot lap, and then he crashed because of cold tires. But, Acosta looked great, and he got the pole position. My question to you is, when you were racing, the qualifying was basically just a time session. You could just go whenever you wanted. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. And how important was minding your tires in qualifying?
It wasn't as important as it is with these guys. I mean, it's you get them up to temperature, and I think the window in the tires that I was using was a lot wider than what these
Right,
guys have. So it
right,
wasn't
right,
wasn't that much. Other than you just don't want to overcook them. That's all. But
right,
there's the same stuff that goes on about getting the draft on the straights and that's really important and yeah, but other than that, that's about it. Yeah.
and were different circuits grip levels quite different?
Oh yeah, entirely.
Yeah,
Entirely. And
okay.
temperature plays a huge role. The
Yeah,
temperature of the track is big.
it was basically a cold weekend for Barcelona. So I guess when it's cooler, you get less grip. Is that usually the rule?
Yeah. Yeah,
And then if
but
it's hot, you get some grip, and if it's too hot, then you lose grip again.
right. And
Right.
if it's hot, it's easier
Generate
to
heat.
overcook your
Right.
tires and get them nice and slippery, and yeah.
Right. Yeah. So because I think we saw a lot of crashes this weekend, and I think
Yeah.
the slippery nature of the circuit and certain riders excel. Alex Marquez likes slippery. Other riders like high grip, which I always find that fascinating. Obviously, if Mark was here, he would have liked the slipperiness as well. I think that's what we saw Zarco do really well here because of the slipperiness, and we see him do well in the rain. So,
I
uh,
get it. I liked a track that wasn't exactly sticky either. There's just more that there's a bigger window at the limit. You get to
mhm,
feel the limit more when it's slippery.
right. Yeah, it's how often, like in motorcycle racing, there's obviously a lot more sliding than car racing because
Mm.
I don't know it's still going to take up your tire, but how important was sliding to the type of racing you were doing, or was it more preserve the tire at all costs and don't slide as
No,
much?
no, there is sliding probably on every single turn,
Right,
um,
right.
on entry and on um, exit. So not at the apex, a little bit on the apex, but not a lot, but more on entry and exit. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and we saw. I don't know if you saw in practice or was it qualifying. Ogura, this great slide, and he saved it. And yeah, it's. I guess to skip a little bit of the head in the race, Joanne Mir on the Honda. I mean, that thing was just buckling all over the place, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Looked like a frightening ride.
yeah, and I think that's what caused the numerous tire pressure penalties. So Joan Mir lost his second place and was demoted to ninth. And like 4 or 5 other riders got penalties because of, I guess, the interruption in the race, and they didn't calculate correctly, or there was not enough time, or so forth. I don't know. I have to question. Like, this is Honda, the factory team. They missed that out, so that's a little bit curious.
Yes.
You know, but what do you think of this sprint?
I like the sprint. The sprint was a good
Yeah,
race.
super
And
super good, wasn't it?
lots of passing, lots of good passing, and nice close racing.
Hmm. Yeah, the Acosta Marquez battle, and then Acosta, falling back and then coming back at the end, and it was the closest sprint finish. It was a .041 gap at the at the end, so 4/100ths. Just he fell back, I guess, preserved his tires and did an attack at the end. This is the kind of racing I like to see. Like, the whole weekend was very strategic. I thought the racing, the way that they raced,
Yeah.
and so forth. Um, Fernandez did better this weekend, Trackhouse, and then Ayagura another charge through the field from 18th to 8th. Uh, so,
Yeah.
just a spectacularly entertaining sprint. The sprints this year seem to be the best sprints we've seen, I would say.
Yep.
So far.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
In a big way.
I guess let's put off the crash and all the crashes and all that till afterward. We'll talk about the second race, or the third start. Um, Digia gets his second win, which, there's a long time between victories. It's only his second. He beats the team that he's going to next season, KTM. Sad to see Pedro fall back at the end. I guess his tires just couldn't take it anymore, and he fell back. Again, Mir, I thought, had a great ride. That just every time he was braking, the back end was coming up, shaking back and forth, and Fabio Di Gianantonio at the end, like at the Parc Fermé at the end, when they're watching the replays, is telling him, I saw the translation, like, you were riding amazing, like, what a great ride, like, just on the edge. And it proves Joan Mir's ability, and why I think he's crashing a lot is he's
on the
trying
edge
to get the most out of that Honda. Yeah, I mean, there's ways to ride. You can say, like, try to be smooth and so forth, but I guess it just doesn't get the same results as riding it to the very edge. So, I just thought that was an amazing ride. Unfortunately, he loses it because of the tire penalty. And Pecco takes third as a result, and he said, "Oh, I don't really deserve this penalty, this podium." And Pecco said that he felt dizzy during the race because he was one of the guys that got hit during the accident. But we'll go to that in a second. But I thought the race again was very strategic, kind of like a sprint again, because it was reduced so much. And I taking out Pedro at the end. It's not something he usually does, but I thought that was just a racing incident. And I thought that the Fernandez Martin incident. What are your thoughts on that crash?
Oh, that's a tough one. Is it just a racing incident? I think in a way it is. I mean, it wasn't blatantly rude.
No, like, a lot of people are blaming Fernandez, but he said, no, I went in, and Martin sort of went up again, and he decided to lean down again. I kind of blame Martin for that. I thought he just sort of leaned and ran into the other rider, or Fernandez. But I guess, again, it's that age old, where's the line? Like, was he far enough and so forth? But I don't think it was blatantly Fernandez's fault.
No,
and the same with I at the end. It's just a racing incident to me. But they seemed whenever you're taken out, they seem to penalize it. What are your thoughts on the eye incident
I
with
think it was
Pedro?
great. I think what he was doing was bold and perfectly fine.
Yeah,
He was clearly faster.
mm-hmm.
So yeah. Um,
Yeah.
was it
Pedro
was it
just
his
got.
job to stay out of the way? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I think Pedro just got a little spooked and lost it, and that was it. So I totally disagree with the penalty there. Any thoughts on the race before we get into the accidents?
Yeah, I found it highly disturbing. Um, I've always found crashes highly disturbing, and there were some horrific ones in this. Um,
Yeah. Um,
putting that aside, um, some phenomenal racing, some phenomenal dicing. That's what it's all about. So yeah,
mhm.
it's very
Yeah.
difficult.
So, sorry.
To rate. It's very difficult to rate this.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a green flag just because when the racing happened, it was great. It's some dicing and some strategic racing, and it had it all. So, um, yeah, and for Ryder, I'm going to give it to I. He got two eighth places from 18th. Um, as soon as he gets his qualifying sorted out, he's going to be on the podium regularly and possibly a victory. Uh, what are you going to give it in terms of rating then? If I know you're finding it difficult.
I don't. I guess it's going to have to be a yellow. Um,
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons is, as we have talked about before, racing is about luck, and we've now had two races in a row that luck played just an immense role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's hard to judge, who was great. I think Acosta did wonderfully. I'm going to have to give it to Acosta.
He
Um,
did, yes.
I mean, he rode just absolutely brilliantly and
Yeah,
showed great speed. And he was on the edge, and you could tell he was on the edge. And yeah, it's definitely Acosta.
yeah. I thought he was had a great ride as well and a great weekend. Clearly the fastest KTM again and close to victory. It was so close in the sprint,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not riding. He's on the edge, but he's not riding to crash like he did before, and he's not riding like quote dirty or something. Like he could have tried a bit more with Alex, but
Mm-hmm.
he decided to race cleanly and try his best. So yeah, great. The crashes again, KTM's they were falling off left, right, and center. Like they had technical issues all weekend. And what do you think of allowing them to race again if all four of them had technical issues before the final race?
You need to do it, but
Yeah, no problem with that.
that's what it's there for. Um,
Right.
they're paid to do it. I come from an era of watching Grand Prix racing where drivers would die and they would keep racing.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so look it's a dangerous sport. It's going to happen, but where do you draw the line? Uh,
Yeah, the Pedro was arguing, he didn't want to race afterwards, and Digio was arguing that it's our duty to race again, and it's like you said, where do you draw the line? Years ago, when there was an actual death at the beginning of the race, they didn't run the race. I think that's an amazing. That's a line you do not cross. If someone dies, race is off. Um, would you agree with that?
no,
No. Okay.
no. I mean, no, I don't. Uh,
Okay.
Look, it's a dangerous sport.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, that's what they're there for. And you've got 100,000 fans or whatever that came out to watch the race. They've got a
Yeah.
favorite person. I was saying that if I'd paid the money to go watch this race, and Marquez wasn't there, but I
Yeah.
bought the tickets a year ago, I'd be pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
at the same time, I've hopped on a plane. I've flown from Canada to wherever in the world to watch a race. and then they don't
Yeah.
put it on because somebody was killed. Yeah, no, no. And so you give me my $300 back or $500 back for the ticket?
Right.
Sorry.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because so Pedro's bike fails. Alex didn't have, he tried, but he didn't have the time to avoid it. Lost control of the bike, and then it disintegrated. I'm not sure if it hit the wall. I refused to watch it, basically, again. I know he's all right, but I
He's
saw
not
him
all right.
tumbling. Well, but he's up. He's out of the
He's
hospital
conscious. He's
already.
alive. Yeah.
Yeah. So the seventh vertebrae is cracked, and a plate in his shoulder, if I remember correctly. But it brings to mind Liberty saying, they want to race MotoGP at the Miami street circuit. No, you can't do that. Like that bike in that accident that Alex with the wall beside the circuit, pretty close, shows that you can't race these bikes on tight street circuits.
No.
And the riders are really pissed off right now that the safety commission, no one listens to them and goes and so forth. So they've been arguing that the start of this race is always dangerous because they're close to 300K at the end of the straight, 20 or so bikes at the end, and there's common for chaos. So they want to move up the start so that they're slower when they get to that point, but they're never listened to. And again, it's a line. You can argue, well, there should be professionals and they should be able to stop properly. But these are extreme bikes. They are at the extreme edge here. What are your thoughts on adjusting for safety issues like that?
How is that going to affect the race? It's not going to affect the race.
Mm-hmm.
And lap 2, they're going to be coming down that grandstand straightaway at full chat, and they're going to have to late break, and then you're going to have 26 laps of watching these guys do that.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't agree more. When I raced, all of my starts were rolling starts.
Yeah.
And which meant that by the time I was crossing the finish line, I was at full race speed. And it's dangerous. It's the only truly dangerous, perilous part of racing is the start.
Yeah.
And so if you can mitigate risk by starting and later down the straightaway,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Do it. I mean, my God, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to, like you were saying, if you paid a ticket and Mark is not there, you're going to be disappointed. And with so many races, like 44, if you include the sprints, and the injuries that are continuing to go on in riders missing races and so forth, yeah, let's make it. It's a no-brainer to me that they should have moved the start up so that it would be safer. The other thing they've been arguing is that let's ban the lowering devices at the start because they often don't disengage when they slam the brakes on at the end. So the whole balance of the bike is screwed. And I know last race we saw sparks coming out at the beginning, which is rare. And that was because Bezecchi's bike didn't pop up yet, so the bottom was, rubbing on the circuit. So, and again, the organizers refused to do it, and it's just very, very bizarre to me. So we could have avoided, or we can't say for sure, but the second accident with Zarco, where again I only watched it the first time, where he's stuck inside Pecco's bike.
Yeah,
that's frightening as hell as well, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
Fortunately, it wasn't worse.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky.
Anything that they can do to mitigate risk is great. And
yeah,
why do they need launch control? They don't need launch control. They don't.
No. Yeah.
Well, I mean, launch control is one thing, but lowering the bike's another one. Those are two different things. But lowering the bike at risk of it not popping back up for the first corner, man.
Yeah, at 300K or close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you had one tumble, right, where you got punted off and rolled.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess with all that adrenaline, was it just anger, like, or
Oh
what
yeah.
was your feeling?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. It's the angriest I think I've ever been in my life. Yeah, it wasn't my fault. It was I didn't even see it coming. I mean, it was the silliest place for this guy to put the nose of his car, which was right into the other side of my car.
mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, it was just absolutely ridiculous. Wasn't expecting it. Next thing you know, I'm sliding upside down towards a wall. You know, it's just smelling
in, the,
gasoline and battery acid dripping, and it's like, yeah, it's not pretty.
in the cage held really well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
okay, that's good.
It's hilarious because the door. I wish I'd kept the door. The door, of course, doesn't have any guard beams or anything, and it's just a shell. And so when he whacked the door, it formed it perfectly to my door bars, so that you can see the two door bars and the centerpiece that holds it together, and it's all pushed in except for that one spot. Yeah,
Right. Do you have much like from that, like your racing suit? You still have
yeah. I still have my
helmets,
suit, my helmets, my shoes, my
right?
gloves. Yeah, yeah,
And can you fit into any of it?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good. That's good.
yeah.
All right. So up next is Hungary. Sorry, Italy, which is always a great circuit. Very, very fast. Mark might be back for that, even with all those injuries. So we had a little bit of a mix-up where Martin didn't really finish anything, so he didn't score points. So Bez got some points and 15 up. So it's just such a contrast between Martin was on top of the world last race, and now he was nowhere. And I thought he seemed a little bit chaotic this race, almost like he had sort of energy that couldn't go anywhere, and and so he had to. I don't know, maybe his focus was off or something. I'm not sure, but anyways,
But Mugello is
before
a
we
great
leave,
track.
oh, it
Mugello
is,
is a great track, and I do have a question for you.
yeah,
And that was the commentators called Rossi the goat.
mm-hmm.
You know how I
Yeah.
feel
Well,
about that.
they they always call him. They call Mark that too. Uh, Basically, those two they call, and then they play this whole thing about their rivalry, and to me, that's just a whole bunch of nonsense. Like, I don't understand why you would get emotionally involved in someone else's fight. I've got my own problems to deal with and so forth.
Yes,
So if that's between them, and but again, it's marketing, right? Like any kind of fighting, any kind of rivalry and stuff, and that kind of brings me to my question before we leave. Max Verstappen showing up at the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, they sold out. Um, so, in terms of marketing, here Liberty Media wants to market the riders more or get them out front and center and more visible. Max is very popular in F1 because of his wins and his championships, I suppose. If Mark doesn't stay around for too much longer, like Mark's the obvious guy to promote at the moment. Um, Pedro, I guess. Who do you think would be next to promote for MotoGP riders?
listen. If I
Uh,
was tasked with that job, and you and I spent many years doing that, it wouldn't be Mark. It wouldn't be
okay,
Mark. It would be like five riders.
yeah,
It'd be a pick up five riders. I mean, there are plenty of Quattraro fans. There are plenty of of digi fans. There are plenty of, right? So why
Yeah.
limit yourself to one? There's not going to be
No,
one
I wasn't
person.
suggesting limiting. I would say, but like Mark, they would promote Mark, and then who else? Like beyond that, like Fabio, I think is would be as fabulous.
You pick the pretty boys. That's what you do. You pick the pretty boys.
Right, right.
Doesn't matter who it is. Just pick the pretty boys.
So
You know,
Nea
the
Bastianini would
Nurburgring
be on the
24 hours
list.
sells out every time.
Right.
Nurburgring 24 hours sells out every time. Like
Okay.
Max, yeah, an added bonus for the people that are fans that went to the race.
Right. 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 I just
But
find
you're right;
it.
they do need to market it.
Yeah, and you did mixed class racing.
Yeah,
Uh, they have 160 cars on the
yeah,
circuit. How
yeah.
many cars did you typically race with when you were racing?
It varied. It really varied on the big weekends. Um, the SCCA weekend, which is sanctioned by the Americans, and the
Yeah.
SCCA guys would come up. There'd be 70 cars, 60, 70 cars.
Wow.
Typically, there'd be 35, 40. Yeah,
Okay. Right. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So different than Grand Prix type racing where there's
yeah.
20 to 26. So,
Right.
all right, John. Talk to you then
Thanks, Rob.
for Italy next. Cheers. Bye bye.
Woohoo. Bye.